Rashida Geddes and you're watching Conversations with Rashida. Are you having a hard time getting out of debt and building wealth? Well, today's guest will help you get clear with your money. Meinna is the founder of BobbyFinance.com, a financial literacy blog for young professionals and beginning entrepreneurs. She explains in simple terms how finance and the global economy operate and how they impact our everyday life. Her aim is to empower you with the ability to understand how money works, how it's made, how it's managed, and how it gets in and out of your pockets. So welcome, Meinna. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, Rashida.
Great, great. So we're just going to jump right in. What are some misconceptions that young people have when it comes to money?
A common misconception that I usually see in young professionals is that they think that it's easy to earn and accumulate money. Once you start having your first paycheck, and let's say you're paid $40,000 or $50,000 a year, it's legitimate to expect that at some point you're going to have that much amount of money in your bank account very quickly. In reality, a lot of things step in, like taxes or your personal expense and all the bills that you have to pay. So that makes it very hard to actually accumulate wealth. So one of the common misconceptions that I see is that they think it's easy to accumulate money, when in reality you really have to be more disciplined than that.
Absolutely. So as young people, Meinna, oftentimes they're first starting out in their profession or their career and they're already saddled with a lot of debt, credit card debt, student loans, and things of that nature. So what are some things that young people can do quickly to get out of debt?
So the first thing is definitely to have financial planning. You need to know how to run a budget. You need to understand the value of what you're earning and the value of what you're spending. Your assets and your liabilities are two main things that will help you get ahead financially. So it means that once you earn your first paycheck, from the moment you get it, you have to be able to list all the expenses that you will have to make, whether it's your rent, your mortgage, your bills, and all the personal expenses that you plan during that month. And then make sure that you minimize those in order to maximize the amount of money that actually goes into your savings in order to accumulate that wealth eventually. Once you do it for 1 month, all you have to do is repeat it for the next 11 months that come during the year, and also set the objective that you want to have. If let's say you want to have $10,000, you want to pay back $10,000, within a year, make sure that you know which amount of money goes into allocating your debt and which amount goes into your savings. It's very important.
What are some things that young people can do that can actually help them stick with their budget?
So unfortunately, Rashida, there's no magic trick.
Yes.
Money is very psychological. Being able to control your spending habits is key. So at all times, what I would suggest personally is to always have an idea of, let's say, the amount of money you have in your bank account, or the amount, what's the balance of your credit card, or what's your balance of the loan that you owe, so that whenever you spend that extra money on that drink or that expensive meal, you're aware of the impact that you're having, on your budget at that particular time, and you're able to adjust it, let's say, the next day or the next week.
Yes.
So a lot of it is just mental. A lot of it is just about controlling yourself.
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, that's what makes a difference between people who are wealthy and those who are not.
Exactly. And I also believe what's important in what you're saying is we have to visualize what we actually want, what that money that we're saving is actually going to be able to do for us later on. Oftentimes when we think about it, we think about money in the moment. So when we're spending and we're buying those new pair of shoes, or when we're going out to dinner and we're buying those extra drinks, we're only thinking of that moment. But if we can focus on what we actually want to achieve, whatever it might be, if it's purchasing your first home, if it's buying your first car, or if it's something, opening your business, you'll be able to be more focused, I think, if you can concentrate on what your money, saving money, would actually be able to, how it will be able to impact you.
That's true. It's very true.
Now, oftentimes people borrow. They borrow for one car to pay off another, they borrow to purchase the car, they borrow for different things that become liabilities in the end. What are some things, or what are the circumstances under which that people should be borrowing and should not be borrowing?
Rule of thumb, borrow for something that appreciates in time.
Okay.
That's extremely important. The truth is that most of the things that we buy, the material things that we like purchasing, have a very a very limited amount of life.
Yes.
So
Yes.
once you buy a car, once you buy, a skirt, once you buy food, instantly, the worth of that thing has reduced.
Exactly.
Sometimes up down to zero, and that's it. And your money is gone. Even money itself, people don't know it a lot, but money itself, it's a value that depreciates with time because it's not backed by anything. So you have to use your money to buy things that appreciate in time. Real estate, for example, is a very good example. It's a very good, thing. Or anything that, whether it's a piece of gold or, a piece of commodity that that you'll be able to hypothetically resell at a higher value.
Exactly.
That is worth borrowing for.
That's good. That's a really good point. That things that are going to appreciate, because we say to ourselves, yes, I'm buying these new pair of shoes because they're going to be great for me right now, but are they going to appreciate in value? In 2 years, are you going to be able to sell those shoes for more than you purchased it? That's an important key when you're actually purchasing things to help you kind of stay focused. Now, I believe an important part of actually being able to build wealth is being able to change your mindset or shift the mindset from a consumer mindset to an asset building mindset. Now, what are some changes that young people can make in terms of their mindset to be able to get on the right track?
Okay, so one of the first things that I've always advised is education, educating yourself and educating the people around you, because there's a lot of misconceptions about money. As I said before, money itself is a depreciating commodity, so whatever you'll be able to buy today for $1, you'll be able to buy less at that same dollar. So it's very important. If you want to change your mindset, the first thing is that you have to really want it. You have to, as you mentioned it yourself, visualize what you want to be, in the next X years. Visualize the amount of money that you want to have, the amount of wealth that you want to build.
Exactly.
So nothing can be built from scratch, completely. You have to set up that stepping stone, that first dollar that's going to accumulate, and then put another dollar and another one. You just have to think of things as just things, whether you spend $100 on a bottle of wine or $100 on, a pair of shoes, as you mentioned yourself, it's not going to get you anywhere, because once the wine is finished, once the shoes are broken, that's it. They're not going to help you get ahead financially or acquire another asset. So once more, put your mindset in, investing in appreciable things. Put your mindset in, constantly wanting to build something for the future, for your own family, building generational wealth, and stick to it. Stick to it. There's no magic trick. You have to really want it.
Yes. So you're basically saying, educate yourself, educate the people around you.
Yes.
So that way it's oftentimes easy to find temptation or to be tempted when you're in a situation or an environment where it calls for you actually being able to spend. You go shopping with your girlfriends that everybody's buying, and you're there saving your money in your pocket. However, if you're able to educate them as to why you're saving your money, why you'd rather not spend it on that depreciating item, then at that point, I think you'll be better able in a better position to stick with what your plan is.
That's very true.
Yeah. What are the best methods of wealth building when you don't have a lot of income? You were mentioning before $40,000 to $50,000. We all know that after taxes, expenses, living expenses, utilities, and modern everyday things, what's left over is not a lot. So for some people thinking, how can putting $100 build that wealth? Can you explain to them how that savings that they're doing on a continuous basis, how that can then turn into wealth, and some things that they can actually maybe put their money in terms of placement, in terms of products and investments that can help them further down the line?
Okay. That's where certified financial planners come into place.
Okay.
That's exactly their job. You go to your bank and you're like, okay, you know what, I've been able to save, let's say, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, or I'm about to, and I just want to know in which vehicle I can put it, and in order to have, let's say, $10,000 at the end of X years. And the job of those people is to basically orient you towards the best options for you, depending on your risk profile. Another rule of thumb is that the risk you invest in, the more return you will get. But you have to be willing to take that risk. So for example, if you decide to invest your money in some mutual funds, you have to understand the risk behind the mutual fund and be willing and able to take that risk. So common financial instruments that we see are stocks, bonds, mutual funds, which can be a combination of both, REITs, which are real estate investment trusts, or any other piece of hedge fund or piece of commodity that you could buy depending on the minimum amount that you put, or viable options in order to invest your money. The good advantage of those things is that you just don't put the money in your bank account and expect it to accumulate, because it's not.
Exactly.
It's not.
At that 0.25% or
Yes.
0.025% interest rate, you're not going to get the wealth building that you want.
Exactly. So you have to really work closely with your financial planner in order to see in which instruments you can invest your money in, and sometimes go directly towards a brokerage firm in order to have access to the financial instruments you would want to.
Absolutely. And I would add that the important thing to that would be, when you're thinking of something as a riskier investment, you have to think long term. Because if you're interested in pulling your money out in 2 years and hoping that you'll be able to get a big bang for your buck in that short time, then maybe riskier is not the way for you to go. You might have to play it safe and claim less or receive less interest. But if you're looking for long-term growth, then riskier might be a better option, because you have a lot of time to sit on it while it actually accumulates.
That's very true. And also there's a lot of technical things that come into place. For example, the way you balance your portfolio, what amount of stock or bond, or what types of industries are represented in your portfolio, how it all makes sense risk-wise in order to maximize your return. There's a whole science and math behind it that professionals can really help you, get along with.
Exactly. Now, what are 3 important lessons that you've learned about money, wealth, and debt?
Wow.
If you can sum up the knowledge that you have, and the 3 important points the takeaways for our audience today, 3 important points that they can leave this episode with, and that they can take on into their life to be able to build those 3 pillars: the money, be able to build their wealth, and be able to get out of debt.
Okay. One thing. Wealth is not money. Money is not debt.
Repeat it again for the audience so that they can understand.
Wealth is not money, and money is not debt. Or you can even go the other way around. Debt is not money, money is not wealth. That is extremely important. Debt, when you're given $100 and you have to pay it back, it's money technically when you use it, but you have to pay it back, so it's a liability. It is not money, it's not the same thing. On the other side, money is not wealth. It's not because you have $1,000 of dollar bills that you are worth $1,000. That is not how it works, and sometimes it's a bit difficult for people to understand. Wealth is whatever capital you're able to accumulate in time, mainly because it gains value in time. Money is just a piece of paper that helps you transact in a short period of time, or it helps you buy whatever capital that will appreciate in time, that will constitute your wealth. So those are the major things that I've really noticed, and I think it's very important for people to be aware of those realities when they're using their money.
Absolutely, and a great takeaway from what you just mentioned is we have to think about asset building things. Asset building, because this is what is going to appreciate in value. We have to think about what's going to appreciate. We can put, as Meinna mentioned, $10,000 in the bank and let it sit there for 100 years or 50 years. Sorry, let's be realistic. Let's let it sit there for 20, 30 years. However, what that value of that money is going to be can change. It can be worth nothing in 20 to 40 years.
Yes.
So you have to think about what you have that will appreciate in 20 or 30 years.
Yes.
And that's great. Yeah. So thank you so much
Thanks
for being with us today. Can you let people know where they can find you, what you're doing, and how they can reach you?
So I blog, as Rashida mentioned. BobbyFinance.com is the main platform on which I write. So you can go on that website and see all the articles that are published out there. We write about personal finance, entrepreneurship, and of course economics, always in simple terms to make sure that it's easy for everyone to understand. I also have a YouTube channel that's called BobbyFinance. So if you take a look at that, you'll see a couple of videos that might be very interesting for you. And I also, speak publicly at events, and I will also start organizing my own master classes. So make sure that you follow me on social network and also by email, and contact me if you need anything.
Absolutely. So make sure that you guys write that down. Follow Meinna because there's great things to come from her, is what I'm hearing. And as always, please visit RashidaGeddes.com after the episode to leave your questions and comments. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel to get your fix of conversations with Rashida. Empower, mentor, lead, and never stop learning.